Hey everyone, Ash here, and tonight's the conclusion for Dragon Ball Evolution. Now, I got an interesting question asked to me. Why am I beating the dead horse when I did part 1 of my review for Dragon Ball Evolution? Why am I beating this dead horse? And that's a legit question. Why am I beating this dead horse? Because Dragon Ball Evolution is a dead horse, dead and buried in the backyard. But why am I doing it? Well, the reason being is because when I started doing the in-depth reviews, this was one of the films I was going to review, was Dragon Ball Evolution, and really, I've never actually reviewed it, so I did want to release review one time. So yeah, this is the only time I'm reviewing it, the only time I'm really ever going to talk about it. After this, I will never bring up that piece of shit film again. Another question is my review of my score of it, 1 out of 10. The reason why I gave it a 1 was simply put, I can't go any lower than a 1. I mean, I know King Nazaro, I believe. Hope I got your name right, man. He gave a negative 10 million, which I thought, yeah, Dragon Ball Evolution pretty much does deserve a negative 10 million, 2 million. It does deserve that, but like I said, I can only go lower than a 1. That's all I can go is to a 1. So if I give a 1 out of 10, that's what I gave the worst film I've seen of all time. Even worse than Dragon Ball Evolution, Napoleon Dynamite, which, yes, I do think that's a worse film than DBE. Sorry, that's my opinion on that one, but yeah. Now, my conclusion on Dragon Ball Evolution. Well, the problem is with Dragon Ball Evolution, and Nostalgia Critic, when he did his review of the worst Christmas film of all time, which was, I believe, The Christmas Tree, forget what the name of it, but it was a horribly animated film. At the end of his review, he talked about heart. You have to have some effort put into this film. You have to have effort because it's holidays, it's Christmas, it's the New Year. Why am I bringing that up? Because this was Dragon Ball. We grew up watching Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball. We loved those shows. Dragon Ball Z is the reason I got into anime. I absolutely love Dragon Ball Z, and I love Dragon Ball even more. Love the story, love the characters. My god, it was one of the best written animes I've ever seen. Dragon Ball was. It was a great anime. I mean, my god, this thing was incredible. It really was. So much heart and so much effort were put into this. I mean, there was so much of it. That's what Dragon Ball Evolution doesn't have. It doesn't have any heart or effort. It has none. The guy who wrote it didn't give a shit about Dragon Ball. He just wanted a fucking paycheck, so he decided to half-ass this project, write a bunch of bullshit, and say, hey, I'm done. And that's all he did. And it really just pisses me off that you have this lazy of writing with no effort put into a show that we all grew up with, we all loved. We loved Dragon Ball. And for them to show no effort in the casting, in the story, in the effects, none. My god, I mean, it's freaking Dragon Ball. It's Dragon Ball. And this is what they're giving us? This piece of shit film that doesn't make any sense? I had to use the wizard excuse 3 fucking times for this fucking movie. With it trying to make any sense. And the thing that pisses me off, I think is starting to really get under my skin a little bit with some of these people now, is when you watch Storm Sinks rant on the new live-action Dragon Ball Z film, you have people defending Dragon Ball Evolution now. Actually defending that piece of crap, saying, that looks better than that stupid fan-made film they're doing. My god. Just, are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me on this? But yeah. I hate Dragon Ball Evolution, I really do. The guy who wrote it didn't give a shit about what he was writing, he just wanted a paycheck. The director didn't care, no one cared. There was no effort put in. And it was shown. I think it's sad. I really do. Then again, I don't really think a Dragon Ball live action film can ever be done. The fan-made one is the exception because it is fan-made and the fans actually give a shit. But Hollywood ever doing a real live-action Dragon Ball Z film, I can never see it happen. I think Dragon Ball Z is just Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z are just too hard to do live action. I really do. But my review, as it said, is 1 out of 10. It still stands, and this is the end of Dragon Ball Evolution. Not talking about this piece of shit anymore. But anyways, that is it. My wrap up, my review is done for Dragon Ball Evolution. This is Ash saying so long. I am out. Good night.